All right, well, I guess I'm live. Let me just get around here. Hey everybody, Mark here from WhiskyWhistle, live from Winnipeg. WhiskyWhistle, your wise choice in independent whiskey and spirits reviews. Bringing you a very special little live. It's going to be short though, because I'm actually due to leave and meet my friends pretty shortly. So we'll get right into it. And yeah, we're looking at two brewers. And a big thank you to Jasmine Sangria, all the way from Yukon, for sending me these wonderful samples as sort of a press sample. Anyway, so here's the little package. Let me just get myself into my control room, as they call it. How's everybody doing? You having a good Friday night? I don't know, I might be stepping on someone's toes tonight, but you know what? I've got to do what I got to do, so that's what's going to happen. All right. Here we go. Oh, it says the stream status is bad. Okay, well, we're just going to run with it. And we've got Whiskey Throttle. Daniel, thanks for joining. This is about a week late, in fact. Boy, I hope that stream status improves. Daniel, what do you see? Can you tell me, how do I look? How do I sound? Actually, I don't think I sound very good because I've got an audio issue being fixed next week. So anyway, let's hope this improves. Let's wait and see here. Okay. Well, it says it's bad. Well, I'm afraid I just got to run with it. So what do I do? Okay, we're going to keep going. Now that's weird. I don't know why it's bad. I checked my my upload speed. It says it's good. Anyway, well, we'll just go with it. All right, so I got this nice package here, and sent all the way from Yukon, as I mentioned. And we have two. Oh, I forgot the letter. Oh well, I'll tell you about the letter when I actually do the real reviews for these. This is just going to be, let's call it an intro, as I mentioned. Oh, I've still got a bad stream. Okay, and we have Dylan Northrup, who's joined. Thanks for joining. First time I've seen you. I'm glad you've joined. And he says it looks good, it sounds good. In that case, we're going to run with it. Okay, so I've got release 10. I'll put that over here. That's a cask strength. The first time they've released a cask strength offering from two brewers, Yukon Distilling, Yukon Spirit, pardon me. And there's release number 9, and this one is sherried, and it's actually European PX, so that's really cool as well. Anyway, by the way, I'm in Winnipeg. I'm outside in my backyard on the back deck here, and if you look, yes, it needs some work. I guess I'll leave that for next summer. I just moved back from South Korea, in case you didn't know that, about I guess 6 weeks ago now. Anyway, so jet lag's a thing of the past, and getting used to Canada again. Anyway, but wait, there's more. That's a Winnipeg thing, by the way. That's from K-Tel. K-Tel started in Winnipeg. All right, here we have actually from Yukon Brewing. Let me wipe the dew off. From Yukon Brewing, so the same company. This is one of their beers. In fact, the only beer you can get here in Winnipeg right now, and this is the Grizzly Unfiltered Wheat Ale. Let's get that cracked open. Did you see the grizzly bear there? More like it's like a, what is that? What's that monster that lives in the woods? Bigfoot. It's like a Bigfoot, but anyway. All right. All right, so first time I've had beer on the show, and a wheat beer being unfiltered. In case you didn't know, whatchamacallit, Hoegaarden is also a wheat beer, and it's also unfiltered. That's what gives it that kind of cloudy look to it. Kind of looks like orange juice when you look at it from afar. Anyway, not much of a head on there. Oh, that is killer. Do they list the ingredients? They don't. You know, Canada's weird that way. We don't put ingredients on alcohol. Very nice, very refreshing. if you're in Winnipeg, they've got a selection, like a beer tour of Canada at select locations. I had to go to a couple of shops to get that because I wanted to have it tonight for this. Otherwise, this could have started about an hour earlier. All right, anyway, I'll sip that throughout the event. And we are, how many minutes in? We're 5 minutes in. And we've got 3 viewers. Eric Gilbert has joined. Eric, thanks for joining. Checking out 2 brewers. The latest 2 releases coming to me all the way from the Yukon. These have not yet been opened. They're sealed. I think it's actually airtight. Yeah. Anyway, so let's get that opened. I've had this for a week, and I have been dying to get it open. These are a little bit weird, though. I don't really like that because I'm kind of worried about getting this crap into the bottle. Okay, looks good so far. All right, so this is number 9. And let me just read this to you. The tonic color and vibrant malt and oak aromas predict a complex sherry heart. I won't read the tasting notes, but as I said, I believe it's PX, Pedro Jimenez, and I believe it's also European oak. So this has serious pedigree, akin to Macallan 12-year-old, Glendronach 12-year-old. Of course, this is not that old. I'm guessing this is 8 years old-ish. Maybe a little bit of younger content as well. Hard to say. Boy, it's great. I've got these big lights here, and all the flies are getting attracted to them and not coming to me or the whiskey, so this is good. All right, and we have Rob who's joined. Rob, thanks for coming by. Really appreciate that. Okay, so that's again release number 9. Here we go. Nice size sample, but I'm just going to pour a little bit because I want to save a lot for the real review of these. As I mentioned in the thumbnail and earlier, this is just a little intro tasting, and I wanted to come and do this live because I actually run out of content. I've run through all the content that I had pre-recorded and sold, and that lasted up till now. I kind of release things pretty slowly. As my viewers will know, I had been doing 2 to 3 a week for 2.5 years, and then suddenly around May, everything just shut down because I was getting ready to move. Anyway, let me have one more little. Dylan, yes, that's right. Right from the marketing director, whose name is Jasmine Sangria, which is a very cool name. You know, sangria is a drink, so she has a name of a drink, and she's in the drinks business, and even her first name is a scent, so, or a tea and a flower. Anyway, every way you think of it, it's cool, and you can check her out on Instagram. I believe it's just Jasmine Sangria if you look for that. One more taste of 2 brewers, YUKON Brewing Grizzly unfiltered wheat ale. All right, so everybody, Friday night, what the heck are you doing home? Rob, you should be out on the town. What are you doing? Okay, so that's number 9. Let's pour number 10 while we're waiting. This one is the cask strength, and all of you, I know Daniel from Whiskey Throttle. He's got, I hope, more than 2. I hope he would have bought about a case of this, and if I could, and if I had the means and the cash and etc. You know, moving is pretty expensive. I think it cost about $12,000 between the tickets and the cost to move furniture. Anyway, if not for that, I probably would have gone out to Alberta and picked up a case for myself to hang on to for years to come. I doubt they'll do another cask strength yearly. It'll probably be every couple of years. So this is now the end of, when did they? This is like 2 years running now. 2 years ago they started. Excuse me. Now, actually, Daniel from Whiskey Throttle, he has a massive, well, I should say modest collection of the 2 Brewers malts. Anyway, so you can ask him how good it is. So that's number 10, the cask strength. Pour that in there. This is ex-bourbon, I believe. Isn't that right, Daniel? Oh my goodness. And we've got Scott, I think that's Scott from the Scotch Test Dummies, and we have Rob from Whiskey in the Six, and we have Daniel from Whiskey Throttle, Eric Gilbert, who's really active on Twitter. If you don't follow him, you should. Anyway, great to have you all here. That's awesome. Now, did I just mix all this up? Okay, so that's the number 9, and this is the number 10. And I don't want to put that on the glass. Now, one thing I'll tell you, in terms of Canadian single malt, this is the one that tickles my fancy the most. I do also like the whatchamacallit, Glen Breton from Nova Scotia. Interesting, different. It does actually suit my palate. However, this is a little bit more into the line of whiskeys that you and I like. Interesting things, new things, special releases. In fact, all they do are special releases. They don't have a standard bottling. So that's a really interesting business idea, marketing idea. All in all, it's interesting because, first of all, as a small distiller, how do you keep something? How do you keep a regular item, let's say like a 10-year-old or an 8-year-old? They could do an 8-year-old, I'm sure. But the thing is, it would be so different year after year because of the smaller scale that they're running on. Anyway, let's talk and more tasting. So that's number 9, the sherry cask. And we have Daryl Lowe. And Daryl, thanks for joining. This was a very impromptu sort of thing. I wanted to wait till next week. I have a connection that I need for improved audio. So finally spending some money to improve the audio. And next will be the video. I've got to find some better cameras. Something. I've got to get a nice laptop to do some live feeds and invite guests. It just doesn't work here with iPhone. Anyway, so that's the number 9. And you right away you'd smell that sherry oomph that's in there. And this is a smooth single malt to begin with. Sweet. I generally find the two breweries sweet with a hint of savory. So that's the basic flavor profile. Not a lot of salt or spice, but in the sweet and savory range. Of course, there are some spicy styles as well that they've done. I'm guessing this is going to be very spicy, that cask strength. All right. So I'm smelling sherry. It's fairly light, fairly subdued, but it's definitely a sherried single malt. And it reminds me of a sherried Glen Geary, the 8-year-old that I reviewed a couple years ago. And this one's 43% ABV. No, I'm sorry. No. 46. They upped it for this one. 46% ABV. It's unchill filtered and it's natural in color, as the company has told me directly. They do need to put that on their labels. That would be nice. I think neither of these say anything. Of course, these aren't the complete labels, but... All right. Dry camp. Oh my God, Daniel. They better pay you a little extra for that. All right, I'm getting some stick candy, some sugar-coated jelly candy, like those little round sort of buttons. A little bit of cinnamon. Hint of nutmeg in there. Very light baking spices. All right. Again, this is just a brief intro, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time with that. I think I spent too much time with my regular review. So let's get on to the tasting, okay? Cheers, everybody. Hope you're having a great Friday night. Here I am in Winnipeg saying hello to you and to two brewers and YUKON Spirit, YUKON Brewing, Jasmine Sangria, and all of the people over at Two Brewing and Yukon Spirit, Yukon Brewing. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your continued care and your continued support of my channel. That's boy, 2.5 years running, so very cool. All right, cheers everybody. That is, oh, this is very spicy on the palate, but also very sherried. This rivals the type of sherry flavor, however, it's 46%, so a little bit less, that you get from the Taiwanese single malt called Kabalan. So the Kabalan sherry, if you like that, this is right up your alley. Mm. Mm. In fact, what it reminds me of, the sweetness from that sherry Kabalan with the spiciness of the bourbon Kabalan. Of course, there's no bourbon wood there, but anyway, that's what I'm getting in terms of the flavor profile. And it's really mouth coating. And oh my goodness, look who we have here. This is awesome. All right, so Swami from Malt in Montreal, he's offered up a nice little super chat. That's very generous of you. I really appreciate that. And now that I think you're all set up for that too, so as soon as I have time, I'm still a little busy. That's why I haven't been able to do any content or take part in too many people's lives. Is I'm studying and I'm taking care of my kids, and you know, they're not in daycare now, so when I get home, I basically have to switch pants and become a nursery school teacher for a little while. My kids are 6, 4, 2. My first daughter starting grade 1, so I guess about a week from now I've got to start getting ready for that, going shopping for all the start stool kind of stuff. Come on, you guys, this was just supposed to be a little informal thing. All right, so Scott from Scotch Test Dummies, he's also given a nice little super chat. Both of you, I thank you equally. Scott says he's beat Swami, but Swami was first, so there's points for that. Anyway, you guys are both awesome. Anyway, enough of that now, guys. Let's save that for when I really start getting rolling in the fall. All right, anyway, one more taste of this one. Mmm. Mmm. And exactly as I said, it's got this great balance of sweetness and savory. The umami that everybody talks about in cooking, in the cooking world, but yeah, it exists in whiskey too. All right, let's clear our palate with that Grizzly unfiltered wheat ale. You mean the, Eric says they're big bucks in Canada. I think he's referring to these whiskeys. And yes, they're about $100, give or take. And you know, again, you got to think that it's a small batch. Every batch is different. They're going to make new labels every single time. And the fact that it's all the way up in the Yukon. So there's a little bit of logistics issues. Anyway, all right, we have Whiskey Sneerson. Great to see you again. Happy to have you here. So just a little check-in. And hey, you know what? Friday night, you guys should be out. If you're home, what are you doing at home? What are you drinking tonight? Are you watching TV? Are you watching movies? I'm going to be heading out to join some of my high school chums. We're going to go to the beach tomorrow, but tonight we're going to have a little evening at a local watering hole, so that should be fun. Oh, can't edit out my burps. Okay, that was going to be set aside, and I'm going to add a bit of water, like so. A little more. and we'll get into this cask strength. Oh man, pardon me. See, normally I would be cutting all that out when I edit. Maybe I should stop doing that to add a little bit of comic relief, maybe. All right, Dram Dude, also great to see you too. Man, I'm really surprised. I'm really happy that everybody's here. Have I missed anybody? I think I've said hi to everybody. If I have not said hello to you, just pipe up and tell me so I can greet you, okay? And let me just again give a 2-glass salute to some fellow WhiskyTube gents. Check out the hashtag WhiskyTube, by the way. All right, so to Swami and also to Scott, but also, of course, to Whiskey Throttle, who was the very first person to join my live, and I gave no forewarning, so he gets points too, as does Rob from Whiskey in the Six. Make sure I got these in the right place. I'm pretty sure I do. Okay, so on to the cask strength. Let me just get that little bit of evaporation going on. Yeah, and as I said, this is quite spicy. Lots of cinnamon, something like cedar bark, and I've got big moths flying around hitting my umbrella. So if you hear some funny noises, that's what that is. Get out of here! All right. Well, the show must go on. Okay, something tropical as well. Oh, come on, you guys. Ah. Okay, Daniel. All right, should I say this? You know what? I love you guys, but you guys are getting a little crazy. All right, so Daniel from Whiskey Throttle. I'm gonna have to give him a bow, I guess. All right, Daniel. Cheers. That's a Korean cha, which you do to somebody who's older than you, usually for Thanksgiving and New Year's Eve. But anyway, he gets a cha greeting. And maybe you saw my shorts too. All right. Okay, so spicy. Lots of wood, lots of rich wood. Cedar. Fresh cedar, fresh forest oaky type of scents. Something tropical in there too, a little bit of pepper, but also very sweet too. Again, this is right up my alley, and this reminds me, off the nose, reminds me a lot of the Astar from Glenmorangie. Okay, cheers everybody. Thanks a lot, guys. You guys are way too generous and totally unnecessary. Thank you very, very much. Really appreciate that. Cheers, everybody. Now, again, I'm going to bring up Kavalan Ex-Bourbon Oak, the Solist. They are like brethren, but this is older. This is going to be about, again, 7-8 years old, whereas you'll get the Kavalan generally for 5 to 6, sometimes 7, sometimes more. But anyway, those are hard to find, and they usually get snapped up right in Taiwan from people, from whiskey fund companies will buy those, because the Kavalans that are 9 and 10 years old are worth a lot, and they will gain in value. But I'll tell you right away that this bottling, even though it only reaches BC and Alberta, is of great value, and I think that would be something that you might want to hang on to if you're into collecting whiskey. All right, any comments here? Whiskey Throttle says, yes, I should get a full bottle of these. I know. In fact, my aunt just came here she's arriving tonight from BC. The trouble is this. So I don't have that right now. I've got to wait till I get some commission checks. The new job I'm starting out in is in commercial real estate, and passed the first test handily. Don't want to brag, but anyway, I don't think it's that difficult. You know, this is what people say. But anyway, I passed it very. I was a little worried, in fact. The second one's coming up, I guess maybe mid-September, and then I'm a licensed assistant, and then 2 more, and I'll be a full realtor. So, all right, Swami, thank you so much. Really appreciate you joining. That was really nice of you also for the super chat. Have a good night. See you. Say hi to your wife for me. All right. Sorry, that was me channeling Mark Wahlberg. Say hi to your mom for me. All right. One more taste of this one. Very drying, very spicy. Rich oak, and the finish again carries very, very long. And if you've had Glenlivet's first fill Nadura, which I find very young, didn't really like it. I did review it. I didn't give it a great score. The end of the bottle was okay, but every time I drank it, all I could think of, this tastes like underage spirit. Anyway, 2 brewers, they've left it in their casks long enough. I think they use generally smaller casks, like 100 liter, to age their whiskey. I think, Daniel, you might remember, but I know they use some smaller casks, not just the 200 liter jobbies. Anyway, so they might get a little bit more, we'll call that maturation out of the same number of years of age. All right, one more taste here. Daniel's asking if my aunt can stop in Alberta. Well, she flew over. I have cousins there, so I think what I'll end up doing is sending my cousin some cash and having him head out, or I'll call Kensington or one of these stores, and I know a few of the people there, and seeing if they can put some aside for me. And One Glass Man, wow, amazing! Yeah, I'm in Canada now. I missed you all those times in Korea. Thanks for joining tonight. Really appreciate that. We're talking about some Canadian single malts, 2 brewers. Right now, they're only available in BC and Alberta, though I think they are planning to hit US and I think Ontario. Manitoba, probably never. You never know. Anyway. And Daniel says he can get it cheaper. Well, that's good. So maybe you'll be the person that can help me with that. All right. But Scott, these umbrellas, they're full of bugs, and there's no bugs around me at all. I think it's, and like I can see the stucco. There's a million bugs lining the stucco over there. Anyway, that's the beauty of that. Oh, and we have Yu Chisuk Shi. Hello. And she asks, am I the only one who uses Korean writing? 알아듣고 팔아 좋아요. 누르고 갑니다. Thank you so much for joining. 누르고. All right, thanks a lot for adding your voice there, Chisuk. And you're probably the only one who can read Korean, and me, I can translate for you. Jisuk is that's a woman. She's a Korean woman, and I don't know much else about you. Thank you for joining. I really appreciate that. 혹시 그때 술덕후 라이브 방송 때는 혹시 구독하신 거요? I'm wondering if she subscribed to me after I had joined a live stream of a buddy of mine in Korea who does whiskey reviews. Anyway, we'll see what she says. hopefully she didn't leave already. She said, kind of looks like she might have, anyway, she might have just dropped in to leave a little comment. Anyway, nice enough all the same. And, right, the one glass man you were sold twice? Yeah, I know. And I hope you found some good things there. I know it's a little bit of a mixed bag. Generally expensive, but they do have some things that you might not be able to get in Canada or in USA, whatever market you're in. They sometimes get some interesting releases from Japan and from Taiwan, India. And that's where I found my first Amrut, and that's where I found my first Kavalan, and my first Yamazaki was all right there at that market, so that's cool. Okay, let's add some water to the cask strength. Go with 2 of these. And we'll go back to the sherry cask, that's release 9. Oh, and here you're just getting this beautiful sherry single malt whiskey, and it really, it's about the closest to Scotch whiskey that I've smelled from world single malts. Oh, that's just beautiful. And I mean, I really hope they do more sherry, because I think it works really well with their house style, that sweet, savory style they've got. It gets so sweet with water added. Gorgeous. All right. All right, now I think I've said hello to everybody here. And well, now my health is good, so that's good. I've been on for 31 minutes. I'm going to go until 40. I'm going to cut that a bit short tonight because I do have to get going to meet up with my friends. They'll probably be a little bit upset as it is. And no angry wife inside staring at me. Nope. All right. And very cool. I've gotten up to 14 concurrent viewers, so that's cool. Again, I don't know if I stepped on anybody's toes tonight. You know, we've got this tight group of WhiskyTube YouTubers, and some of them schedule regular lives every Thursday, or every Sunday at a particular time. And, you know, we want to make sure we provide a good time for people to join. I mean, if I run a live at the same time that, say, the Scotch Test Dummies do, well, I'll probably get 1 or 2, maybe a couple of Korean viewers coming in, and that's it. And come on, this is crazy. Whiskey Sneerson, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I had no expectation of having anybody on. The last few lives that I've done, I've had 2, 3, 4 people watching during the live. Of course, that's always been after midnight. That's a little kind of informal series I've got called Malt After Midnight. Anyway, so Whiskey Sneerson, thank you so much. I'm going to raise my glass to you, and you will share this this one glass. Anyway, there's the one glass for the one glass man. Really appreciate that. One glass man, can you tell everybody? And we had Ryan Richardson. Ryan, I'm sorry I missed you. Thanks for joining. Oh, you're just joining now. Good. Okay, I thought you were saying good night. You said Scotch night. Yes. Actually, it's Canadian single malt. Very much we'll call that a sibling. Maybe I can even call that anyway, very much a sibling of Scotch whiskey. And this is all the way from the Yukon territories of Canada, White Horse to be exact. And that's the cask strength now with water we're going to try. And as far as clearness, it's still quite clear, but I only added a little bit of water, so it might not be low enough to get a bit of cloudiness going yet. Anyway, cheers. And again, thank you, Whiskey Sneerson. Great job with that super chat. Anyway, sorry if I'm awkward. I'm not used to getting all of these little what can I call that? Little donations of support for WhiskyWhistle from everybody. So that's really nice. All right, cheers. Now, if you've had Kavalan, the Solists, and if you've added water, you might have been a little bit turned off because it just got weird. It's like really good at full strength, but it gets a little, I don't know, it takes a long time after you add water before it seems to sort of, I don't know, knit itself together again nicely. I don't know if Rob can back me up on that, but anyway, this one, however, it's great full strength, and it's also great with water added. So that's a nice whiskey to enjoy every way you can think of. And I can imagine this doing very well also in, say, like a whiskey highball. Maybe I'll have to do that with what I have there. I'll review that in earnest next week, and then I'll make a highball with 2 brewers. All right, and we have Nika Serin. 잘생긴 아저씨. She says, handsome uncle. 니카 씨, 감사합니다. 그렇게 생각하셔서. Thank you for saying that, for thinking that anyway. I don't think it's that true, but anyway, thank you all the same. All right, so one more taste of this. Still very spicy. Still has that kind of a cedar or fresh forest type of a flavor. I mean, I don't lick trees, but anyway, that's kind of what I'm getting. But it's really mellowed out that sharpness from the cask strength high ABV. So very cool. Great. Wow, what an eclectic crowd tonight. We've got Canada, we've got USA. Whiskey Sneerson, where are you from? And we have a couple of ladies from Korea. Great to have you here. If there's something that you want to ask me in Korean, go ahead and I'll say your question in English and I'll try to answer if I can. Anyway, okay, let's get back into this beer. This is this lovely YUKON Brewing Grizzly. What's that called again? A wheat ale, unchill filtered wheat ale. Cheers, everybody. You're in Saskatchewan. I think I knew that. I know I knew that. But, you know, you forget after a period of time. That's really cool. Saskatoon, Regina, or somewhere in between. Moose Jaw. Let's see what he says. Saskatoon. A buddy of mine lives there, who's big into beer and wine and cigars. And I met him in Korea, actually. He's living there with his wife and his three kids now. Anyway, Dylan Northup's from Ontario. Great, cool. Whereabouts? From the big six, like Rob? Pardon me. Try to make no noises with those. These are just great. All right, let's get those labels forward and get this beer out of the way over here. 2 hours south of Rob, cool. Rob should start hosting some events. Just, I don't know, can you do that in Ontario? Manitoba, we can hold a, what's called a social event. What's it called? Social, anyway. Social occasion, that's the long term. We just call it a social occasion, and you get a permit and find a small place, and you can charge for entry and run like a little mini bar. Oh, okay, cool, good to know that. Dylan is talking about honey pale ale. That sounds amazing. Good stuff. That's really great beer. I'll definitely get that again. And it wasn't that much. What was the price here in Winnipeg? About, I want to say about $3.50 $3.50 plus PST and GST. So let's round it up to $4. Expertly made. I know I'm not going to get a headache from that. I do find that some craft breweries, I find that I'll drink that. Maybe it's because I'm used to whiskey. I'm not used to the particular alcohol. You know, alcohol is a number of different things, but I'm not used to all the unusual alcohols from oat beer or different hops and so on. Plus all the different water. So I just find sometimes I get big headaches from certain craft beers. I don't know if anybody else feels that way. I feel the same way also if I switch to another category of liquor. If I switch to rum, if I have a couple of glasses of rum, I'm done. Can't do it. Can't do any more. Anyway. All right, Eric Waits joined. Great to see you too. He is a wine sommelier from California, and he loves whiskey. In fact, I think he might like whiskey more than wine. Not sure. That's what it seems like. Anyway, very cool. Now, I said I was going to go to 40. We're at 41, so I will stop this at what time? At, let's say, 45 minutes for sure. All right? And he says, whiskey has become his mistress. Well, so, yes. Now I'm going to pour, I think I overwatered that. If you get this one, do not go crazy with the water. It's 46%, but it seems to be ideal, I think, at 46 or 43. Every whiskey is different. Some whiskeys are great at 40%. Some are super delicious at full cask strength. And that all depends on the distillate, depends on the cut, it depends on the terroir and the provenance of that particular area and so on. And it also depends on the maturation, casking, etc. So there's so many factors that lend to the final product. And I just find there's a lot of, in fact, a lot of Diageo's whiskeys, at least the way they distill it, which might be a little bit faster than they should, I find it's nice at 40%. And yet something like Glen Grant, which I think they take good care of that, because that's, I think, their only the only single malt whiskey in that company, and it's also, I think, number 5 globally. Anyway, 40% is okay, but I wish it was 43 or so. Same with Glenmorangie. It's okay at 40%. Yeah, I'll buy it because it's a good price, but I sure wish it was 43. And oh yeah, so what did Glen Grant go and do? They went and upped the ABV. So interesting. Anyway, they're coming for me. Well, I'm still on my property, so I think I'm okay. All right, so that's that sherried 2 Brewers. Now, before we wrap things up, are there some other single malts from your area that you've tried and you've liked? I know recently Scott over at Whisky, Scotch Test Dummies, I'm sorry, they recently reviewed Westland. And I haven't seen that yet. Pretty striking label. I hear that's very good. But what about other distilleries near where you are doing single malts? I know there's a couple in Alberta and BC. There's a couple in Ontario. Then you got the Glenora distillery over in Nova Scotia. You got a whole bunch in USA. And Eric mentions he's not a beer guy. He's experimenting with beer whiskey cocktails. You mean Boilermakers? Great. I had fun the next day. And Scott says, cops coming probably because he has lights on disturbing his neighbors. Yeah, that could be. It is pretty bright. Anyway, so back to single malts from USA, Canada, Denmark, Sweden, Finland, Norway, Germany, Belgium, the Netherlands, Iceland. God, there's just everywhere. Italy, Spain, Brazil. These all have single malt distilleries being made. Is there a Mexican single malt yet? And Eric says he's touring some California distilleries that produce whiskey. Some do single malts. Too many fires, yeah. Yeah, that's got to be really, really, really sad. That's going to cost a lot of money. I feel really bad for people suffering in California. There's also a whole horde of fires in BC right now, too. Anyway. Dylan's talking about Stock and Barrel. Yep, great single malt. Now, I don't know, I'd like to try the cask strength. I'd like to try their current release, let's say from this year. When I first reviewed that was 2016, I think 2016 in the summer. I found it too young, and I still have the bottle, and I just really cannot fully enjoy it because there's a certain flavor that you get with really young whiskey that I can only take in small quantities. So what I'll do is I'll have about half a glass every month or two. So that bottle is going to last for another year or so. Anyway, and Scott's talking about Stranahans. And yeah, I love the basic Stranahans. It reminds me of Dr. Pepper. I'm not sure if I saw your review of the Stranahans, but great stuff. And what a following they have at that distillery. They get big lineups for their special releases. That's crazy. Daryl Lowen is also saying that Stranahan is amazing, and I totally agree. I love the bottle. And they recently cleared it out on sale here in Winnipeg just before I arrived. It was all gone before I could go buy another bottle. So I've got a couple of samples left. And if there's anybody in Canada or in Ontario or out in Alberta that hasn't tried Stranahans, I have a sample if you'd like. You can just send me an email or leave a comment or anyway, get in touch with me one way or the other. I've got a couple or three samples of that Stranahans. I can definitely give at least one or two of them away to someone who wants to try. So let me know if you're interested in Stranahans. Anyway, cool stuff. All right, now I think I've gone over time again. Okay, 47. Okay, so I'm going to try to wrap this up here. So we have the release number 9. That's the sherried 2 Brewers single malt. And we have the cask strength, which is an ex-bourbon cask. Right up my alley. And if you're thinking to yourself, you know, I've had some Canadian single malt and I wasn't crazy about it. For example, if you had Glenora, or if you've had also, let's say you just said a Stock and Barrel. I'll tell you what, it's aged a bit longer than the Stock and Barrel, at least the one that I tried, and it has a little bit more general sweetness than Glenora, the Glen Breton single malt. So if you're wondering about the price point and if it's worth it or not, I got to tell you, absolutely it is. And of course, take it with a grain of salt, because I have not yet spent a dime on a bottle from that company yet because I have no access to it. And I think Daniel over at the Whiskey Throttle is going to help me with that. So I'll talk to him soon. Anyway, absolutely worth it. I would probably rank that up with, say, something like Glenlivet 15, the French Oak, or the Solera release from Glenfiddich, the new Glen Grant. It's just as good. It might be a bit younger, but it's really been cared for, and it's just great. I just love this distillery anyway, this is not a promotional plug. This is me talking from the hip here, and shooting from the hip, I should say. Anyway, wow, I'm really excited about this distillery. Go and get some if you can, all right? Okay, so, yeah, 50 minutes. All right, so I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. Really appreciate that you joined. This was really fun for me. I've been wanting to do this for a couple of days, a couple of weeks, in fact, and just hasn't happened for whatever reason. I was too tired. My kids were up too late. There's the Better Call Saul that's out now. Do you watch that show? So I had to watch the first episode of the new season. Anyway, finally here we are Friday night, and I got a live done, and had a great bunch of people join me, and some very nice people also to help me out with some fantastic super chats. So I really appreciate that. And thank you, everybody. I'll say goodbye now. I gotta get up and shut that off. It's really far away, so there'll be you'll see my legs and whatnot. Don't be alarmed. Maybe you don't. Oops. Oh yeah, I forgot to show you that one. Last little talk about this 1986 Alberta Premium that I found. Very interesting. Found that in my parents' crawl space. Anyway, that's going to be opened up soon, probably also with Daniel, because he has one, I think, from 1985. All right, everybody, take care. Thanks a lot. Goodbye.